When I was a kid, I thought heaven was going to be the boringest place on the face of the earth, that everybody was going to have to sit around for eternity and listen to some old angel saw on a harp forever. And I said, man, that's going to be awful. You know what I mean? But never in heaven, in the throne room, does they cease to worship God. And I think it's going to be, I don't know about you, but I mean, I can't wait to get there. I think it's going to be awesome. It's an ever-ending, the most awesome praise service in the world. And everything we do will be for His glory. But that's the way it's supposed to be here, isn't it? And today, the whole mindset behind today's message, the whole theme behind today's message, and everything about what's going on here is that, you know, the mission of the church is not just really outside these walls. We come here to worship God, but when we leave this place, we're supposed to take God with us, you know what I mean? And so today we have a dear brother in Christ here with us, and some of you may not know him, and some of you know him well, but Mr. Eddie Young's going to come forward now. He's going to share what's going on in some ministries that he's dealing with, and the church has been a part of them and hope to continue to be a part of them. And so y'all make Eddie welcome as he comes there. You want to stand there or want to use one to eat? Well, the only thing is you got to watch these cords, because if you get them wrapped around you and go down, there's the kind of people in this room that'll laugh at you. No. Yeah.
My goodness. I need a road map. Hey, hallelujah. Praise the Lord. Wonderful, wonderful morning. I'm so glad to come and to worship with you all. And I was astounded when I saw Eddie Horn get up here. I've known him for 45 years, and boy, that rascal can sing, can't he? What do you think about that, Eddie? There he is. He's sitting over there. He's hiding, isn't he? But anyway, so glad to be here this morning. I am Eddie Young. I live out in Mackville and have for 40-some years out there. And this morning I bring my traveling partner, Miss Jennifer Durling, with me.
And I'm over the rolling hills in Springfield. And I'm a nurse practitioner that Eddie picked up on the road somewhere and said, come follow me to Uganda. And so that's where I'm been following Eddie and reach Fort Cass.
You don't want to follow me. If you do, you're in trouble. Jennifer and I and two other fellows are a part of Unreached 4K. And it simply means that there are 4,000 people groups still in the United States who do not know Jesus, who are unreached. And so our goal is to go in the areas where we know of, and we went through one of the Joshua projects to do it, to find where there were a group of people who did not know Jesus and didn't know anything about him. And so we ended up in the country of Uganda. We are in the town of Bombo. And what we decided to do is to go around the outside edge of the city of Bombo and build churches. And by doing so, it brings Christ to them, but it is Nubian Muslim people that are there. Those people are, what are they, anti-Christian? Anti-Christian, they're Muslims, and they really don't like us a whole lot at times. We have found that out over the last year. The closer we get with our church or with our visits, our home visits, when we get within the area, we see that they won't let us come into the yard. They run us off the road. They're really not nice, put it that way. They're really not nice. And so anyway, what we want to do is this morning, we want to give you kind of an outline of what we do, how we do it, because we're limited on time. If not, we would speak all day long. But we've got a video of it, and they're going to show it. But let's give them just a little bit of a rundown of the video of what. Do you remember what's on it?
Not exactly, but we'll wing it. With Unreached 4K, Eddie's right. What we were doing is planting churches, but we're not just not planting church buildings. We're planting the gospel in the hearts of the souls of the Nubian people. And we're doing that by outreaching in the community, meeting their physical needs. We're not trying to change their culture. In a lot of ways, their culture is a little bit better than ours in some circumstances. But we're just trying to meet their physical needs, their spiritual needs. And so I think some of this video is going to show a little bit about some of those needs that we've been doing as far as like medical clinic, doing youth conferences, really working with the leadership there as well, with their pastors, and just creating a community of God-loving people by sharing the gospel.
You'll see on the video, it's kind of jumps back and forth a little bit. I ended up this time, I was invited to go to a orphanage, so I'll tell you about that after the video. But you'll see some scenes there of the people at the churches. That we've got 2 churches started. You'll see us at the orphanage. You'll see a lot of the farm. It's a production farm is what it is, where the orphanage is at. You'll see all those things on the video, and that'll give you an idea of what you're looking at, and then we'll explain a lot of it to you when we get done. Okay, videographer, bring it on.
Hey, my name is Innocent Delhanga with my dear brother Joseph. We are working with a ministry called Save Street Children in Uganda, a ministry that is mandated to rescue homeless children, provide shelter, and give them quality education. That is what we are called to do. We only work with homeless children, we work with refugee children, and abandoned or separated children from their parents. We provide them with shelter, we give them medical care, we give them a place where they call a home. We thank you. God bless you.
all of her experience there at the churches, and then after she gets done, then I'll tell you about a new experience for me. So Jennifer, take it away.
God puts us in some uncomfortable positions, and right now I'm uncomfortable. So bear with me. Yes. So I got involved with Unreached 4K probably about 2 years. Eddie and I go to the same church, and we met in Bible study with Cheryl, and it was actually a missionary Bible study, and so we just sort of connected, and then he connected me with Unreached and said, "Hey, you want to go to Uganda?" And I've had a heart for missions in the past. I've been to Haiti and in states mission trips and Tanzania, and so I take it literally what Jesus says, and he says, "Go to all nations," and whether that is in your own household or across the seas, he says calls for us to go. And so I take that literally. I take that to heart. And for some reason, God put that on my heart to go overseas. And so that's how I ended up with Unreached 4K. And I'm also a nurse practitioner, so it gives me a something to use, a tool that God has given me, the knowledge and so forth, to provide some physical care to those who are in need. One of the things that we do over there is medical clinics. SOS out of Louisville, who is an organization that supplies medical equipment and so forth, has been wonderful to us and provides surplus medical equipment to take to meet the needs of the Uganda people. Healthcare over there is way different than over here. The Ugandan people in Africa, it's a day-to-day survival where they live from their go is when they get up in the morning is to provide for their family that day. They don't see tomorrow. They're thinking about the survival of that day. And so healthcare over there is not the best. And you know, you can walk into any clinic or pharmacy over there and buy any kind of medication that you want. You don't have to have a prescription or anything, but they don't have the money for it. They have to go to a clinic, be diagnosed, and then that costs money. And so a lot of times they'll have to work or so forth to save up enough money for a $5 Z-Pack antibiotic. And so their health is not the best. There's a lot of diabetes, hypertension, just a lot of similar diagnoses that we have here. Malaria is huge there. Typhoid in the rain season is huge there. And so we're able to offer a little bit of medical for their physical needs there. And so the first time that we went, we did a total of 3, and at the Cornerstone Church in Bombo, we ended up seeing 300. Now, on a good day, I work in urgent care, and so on a good day in urgent care, we're seeing about 40 to 50 patients. To see about 300 patients in one day, whew. But we have a team there in Uganda. The doctors and nurses, they come in and help us with that. And so we end up having at least 2, myself and another doctor and some nurses that help us along with that. Just to give you some insight, we said that we were going to start the medical clinic at 9 o'clock. Now, Uganda time is totally different than ours. They don't have watches. And so 9 o'clock for them could be either 1 o'clock in the afternoon or 5 o'clock in the morning. They come when they want to come. But when we arrived there, they were already, the front yard of the church was full underneath a tent. And they sat there patiently, and they just kept coming. And some of these people will walk ride motorbikes or what, far, far away. I mean, some of them can walk like 10 miles just to get ibuprofen or Tylenol for to sustain them for a couple of weeks or so. And so they will sit there patiently all day long. And while we're in there doing the medical care, the team out there is sharing the gospel with them and just loving on them. But it is just so surprising because here, if you're 15 minutes late, it's, woo, So, I mean, it's just crazy how patient they are over there. The other thing we do, I wasn't a part of this. They had started this before, but water wells are a huge issue over there. Water is it's not well over there. They have to actually dig down into the ground to reach water, and so they have like community water wells. They don't have like a faucet in their home or something, flushing commodes and so forth. So they go and little kids about this big, carrying these big gasoline jugs. It's not gasoline in it, but water for miles and miles, back and forth to their homes. There's a lot of Muslims in that community, and so one of the ways that the Muslims will try to keep them away from us is provide them with water and those kind of resources. So we've managed to build a water well at the Cornerstone Christian Church, and we have to have it secured and so forth because they will poison that water well and so there's a little bit of that going on. The last time that we went, we did a 2-day youth conference, which that was awesome too. And youth conference over there is not, preteens to 18-year-old or whatever. It is 1-year-olds to maybe 92-year-olds. They just come from everywhere. So, and we were able to supply them with Bibles, some in their own written language, some in English, which the children are taught. If they're able to go to school, they are taught English in New Testament Bibles. But it was just it was so. It was just awesome to see. They were so appreciative to get the living word in writing, where they have never had that before. And just to be transparent, sometimes my Bible will sit on my counter for 2 or 3 days and I've never opened it, and for them to be able to just read the living word and not take it for granted the way sometimes I do, it was just eye-opening to me and just pulled on my heartstrings huge. And so just for them to even receive Bibles, like they were so appreciative of that. Door-to-door evangelism, Eddie sort of touched on that as well. We're not always liked there. And so one of our outreaches is to actually do door-to-door evangelism. And in the most part, the people are very welcoming to us. They will invite, they have nothing. They have like a little bitty hut. They don't even have, flooring in there. It's just dirt. They have a blanket laid over in the corner where they sleep. And they will sweep off their dirt floor for us, try to straighten up, come on in. And we go in and we just sort of talk and get to know them a little bit and pray with them for their daily needs and, share the gospel with them. And for the most part, they are very open to that. But the closer you get to the city, the closer we do get resistance. Like Eddie said, some of them, we always have someone in the community go up and ask if it's okay if we could come talk. And a lot of as we get closer to the city, we'll say no, go away. I've had some interactions with a group of men on my team. I don't really know what they were saying, but I don't think it was good. And, and the pastor said, let's go on. Let's move on. They're rejecting us, and they're not really rejecting us. They're rejecting Jesus. And so, as I asked him, I said, well, what was that about? He's like, well, they think instead of bringing your Jesus over here, you should be bringing jobs and money and so forth. And so we run into things like that. We run into there's a little bit a mix of religion over there. There's witchcraft. There's Muslims. There's Catholic. And a lot of times people will say they're Muslim just so that they can be able to get the resources like the water and the schools. And so
Extreme Pentecostalism, too.
Yes. Prosperity gospel is huge in that area too. I had to write my list down because the last time we spoke for 2 hours, and I don't think y'all want to hear us for 2 hours. Oh, let's see. Just some other things too. Eddie mentioned the Joshua Project. And when I first started, Grant Lawson was the founder of Unreached 4K. He just had a heart for the unreached. And so when he researched, he used the Joshua Project. At the time, the Nubian community was like third, I think, on their list. It was 0% Christianity. And so since we've been ministering in that area, around 3 years, they just put out a new report. It has went up to 2.5%. That doesn't sound like huge, but it is huge. To go from 0% Christianity in that community to 2.5% is huge. I mean, you're talking about people who resist us. It's pretty awesome. That was awesome to see that. So the churches that we're building, the first one that went up was Cornerstone Christian Church. And the goal for Unreached 4K is actually to surround that community with churches. And so far, we have built 2 churches. The first one was Cornerstone. The second one is Bimby Church. And we actually just got pictures from them today where they were having their first church service under a constructed roof. It had been, there's a picture on the video of just a tent. It had been a tent for about 1.5 years, and now it is actually a brick building, and it looked awesome. All that is through God's pouring into the ministry with people who are holding the rope for us as we go down into, to Uganda. People like you guys and other churches have provided the resources to do that. And provide, Eddie and us, the ones on the boards and go, we do that on our own funds. But everything that is given to the ministry is 100% given to the ministry, to the Nubian and the orphanage. It is 100% goes to them. We don't take anything from that. And so I think I may be done. But I may cut in there every once in a while.
Okay, well, thank you very much. We've been talking about Unreached 4K, and about 2 months after we got back home in July, I had a call from a man over there that said, I need your expertise. You are a farmer. I said, yes, most all my life I have been. And they said, we need you to come to an orphanage and teach us how to farm. That's the truth. And so anyway, I kind of geared up to do that. I went over this time. I was with Jennifer and the gang for about 2 days, and then I separated and took off and went to an orphanage by myself with people that I did not know, and it was the most uplifting, wonderful time that I've ever had in my life to be able to go. The video that you saw had probably more farming things in it than it did anything else. The reason is because when I got over there, I found out there was a need for them to learn how to farm because they had absolutely nothing. But they needed things that we just take for granted. I had some money that I took with me, and so Jennifer was with us, and we took a farm tour, and I was eating goat on a stick and drinking mango juice while I was taking
I
the
was
farm
not eating
tour.
the goat on the stick.
And she didn't like the goat on the stick.
I carried it around.
But I thought it was really good, and I ate mine, and I think I ate hers too.
All I could hear was Eddie was behind me chomping on this stick. Man, if I had some barbecue, man.
But it was cooked outside over the open fire, which everything is there because they don't have the luxuries of electricity or water inside the house or any of those things that we just take for granted. But anyway, I found out the need was for not only for instruction on farming, but for money. And so I'd taken some money with me, and I said, okay, now let's get to the bottom of what we're going on here. Let's get to the grassroots of it. The problem was that they had 6 cows, and one of them was a bull. And out of those 6 cows, they were milking every morning and every night, and they were probably getting a gallon of milk. One of them was old enough to draw Social Security. One of them was a bull, and one of them they said I told them, I said, that cow right there, get rid of her. And they said, well, that cow lost her calf. And I said, no wonder she don't give a teacup full of milk a week. And I said, get rid of her. So anyway, they sold those cows, and then we got out the goats. There was about 100 head of goats that they had there. They have no chickens, or they had planted about a half to 3/4 of an acre of beans. As we know, brown beans, and we call them like a shuck bean. And so anyway, they had the beans out, and I could have probably packed that 3/4 of an acre in a bushel basket of what the production was off of them, because they didn't know what they were doing. And so anyway, we found out what all the needs were, and so I took what little money I had. We went to a piggery, is what they call it. I call it a giant hog farm, but they call it a piggery. And so we went to the piggery. They put me in a white suit and white boots and sprayed me all over. And the only reason I could get into the piggery is because I was from the United States. And they said if they didn't let me in, I would come back and tell our people, and they would make them ashamed of them for not letting me in. So I went in with a veterinarian and an armed guard. One of the videos shows that, with me with an armed guard to go in there, and I picked out 2 pigs, and the veterinarian assured me with full faith that they were both, I wanted piggy gilts is what I wanted. And so anyway, one of them was and one of them wasn't. So anyway, the people over there have a tendency to stretch the truth, not tell the truth, exchange the truth, or call the truth a different name. So anyway, then we set out to get chickens. So I said, okay, I got enough money to buy the pigs, and had to buy the feed, had to buy the bedding for the hog facility, which they had really good infrastructure there. That had happened way back before COVID came along, and when COVID came along, it just killed the whole orphanage. They had no support. That was it. When COVID came in, the director there at the place, all the children had gotten COVID. The director and his wife both got COVID. The director ended up having to have one of his lungs taken out from COVID, and so I love him to death. He came and spent 2 weeks with me in the United States, just left last 2 or 3 days ago. And so anyway, it really opened his eyes to what we have and what they don't. But anyway, it ended up, I bought 100 chickens, little baby chicks, about a month old, and so I said, well, I'm kind of excited over these chickens coming in, because they had delivered the pigs that night. Whenever I went to pick them out, they delivered the pigs on a motorcycle. On a motorcycle. Now, one of those little jobs with the little 3-wheel outfit, and here come this man riding in on this motorcycle, and he was sitting in there, and it had little sides on it, and he sat right in the middle of them, and these 2 piggy gilts was sitting in there with no cage, no top, no pickup truck, no gooseneck trailer, no nothing, and every time one of them would look up, he'd smack it in the top of the head. I said, how you going to get those pigs out there and get them in that facility over there? Said, not a problem. They just picked them up and packed them. So they packed the pigs and they put them in. So I was really anxious to see how they were going to deliver the chickens. And so the next day, after we had fussed, I said, you all make sure it's in the 80s. I said, don't deliver those chickens in the middle of the day. Bring them in the cool. And so anyway, here they came in the middle of the day with the chickens on a motorcycle. And the motorcycle had cage on the back end of it, had two men riding on it, cage on the back and one on top of it. And they had rode about, I don't know how far it was, where they'd come from. But the chicken had, their feathers were backwards on them. You know where the wind had blown them so much. So we got the chickens all unloaded and got them in. And we got the chickens bought. We got all the beddings for them. We got all the water, all the feed, and everything for the chickens. So all of a sudden I ran out of money. And so anyway, I said, all right, the next need was, at that particular time at the orphanage, they had 43 children. They were getting about a gallon of milk, maybe night and morning. And I said, what's the biggest need? He said, milk for the kids. I said, okay. I had no money. I got on the phone. I started texting, and I hit up several cattle buddies and friends around, and I said, look, I'll match you. If you'll buy half a cow, I'll buy the other half a cow. And so it ended up, they took me out in the country about a 3-hour drive, and we literally found a Holstein dairy farm in the middle of all this place that you can't imagine where I went. When I got to the gate, lo and behold, there was an armed guard waiting to let me on the farm. They inspected me, looked me all over good, and then took me out in the middle of the wilds of Africa to see Holstein cattle out there walking around. So I picked out 5 cows, and I said, I'm going to try to drum up enough money to get 5 cattle. Well, as it was, I got 4. I bought 4 of those Holstein cows. So I was overwhelmed. All of a sudden, we got the cows come in. It was all the Holy Spirit did all that stuff, because I'm 8,000 miles away, and me trying to peddle a cow. And so anyway, as it ended up, we got the cows bought after I got back home. The milk went from a gallon today to 6 gallons in the morning and 6 gallons at night. So what a wonderful blessing it is whenever we use our voices and God's working and people are listening to it and hearts are changed, aren't they? So anyway, we got the milk in. Milk is one of the biggest staples. They have milk in the mornings. They have a Portia, and they also have a porridge that they do, and I don't know all of the ingredients in it, but that is one of the main staples. Other than that, those children at the orphanage get fed brown beans and Portia and or rice. That's their meals every day. Out of all those people that are over there, Jennifer, what do you say? It is rice and beans. Rice and beans. That's what those people eat. When Innocent was staying with me, we introduced him to hamburgers. We several things. We had chicken, and Cheryl was trying to please him. Said, I'll fix this for him. Well, he wasn't too crazy about that. So after he'd been there for about 7 or 8 or 10 days, she said, well, I think I'll fix rice and beans. That man was happy as he could be. That's what he wanted, was rice and beans, because that's what he knew about. But anyway, we got the cattle bought. In the video, you saw me up there on the tractor. We plowed up about 5 acres of ground. They were determined that I was going to plow ground, and that tractor, believe it or not, did not come from that farm, because they have absolutely nothing there. Everything they do is offer prayers and blessings from the Lord every day. I kid you not, they have nothing. That man came over here with me for 2 weeks, and he came over here and he didn't have $10 in his pocket. And everywhere he went, the Lord blessed him. You remember how Jesus sent the apostles out and said, don't take anything with you? That's exactly what that man did. And he prayed and he prayed, and he got to this place and he got to that place. And he was in California for 6 days. He was at my house for 2 weeks. He went to Arkansas and stayed 4 days. He was in Atlanta, Georgia for 4 or 5 days. He went back to Texas. And each place he was going, he was trying to get support, is what he was trying to do, and then get all of the 501c3, which is the tax deductible things. So when people give, we want to give tax papers back to him. And so anyway, then he ended up, they made him come back to California to sign more papers. Now, can you imagine doing that with not a nickel in your pocket and doing that? If that wasn't God's Holy Spirit working, I don't know what it is it? And he did all that off faith, and then he got home. I gave him a little extra money in the meantime there to help out, but he had to have those things. And that's the way God works, isn't it? He does all those things for us. But we got the orphanage running. I guess I promised them that I would have them up and self-supporting in 2 years. I don't know if I'll make it or not, but I'm certainly am going to try it, and with God's help and his grace and his love and all the good things that he provides and gives for us, that's what the goal is to do, is to get it going. Now, that's about the orphanage. Did I leave out anything, Cheryl? Okay, I got that pretty good. Now, I want to tell you, we have give you an overview, but you are not seeing the truth. The truth is those people don't have electricity. They don't have any kind of water inside. They have no toiletry. They walk for miles. What else do they not do?
School. Most of the children do not go to school because they can't afford it. Most of the Muslims in the area are overseers of the schools, and there's a price to that. And so a lot of times they'll homeschool them until they reach a certain age, and then they have to take a test to actually get into the school system. So they'll wait until they're almost like middle schoolers because they just can't afford. You have to have uniforms, you have to have shoes, you have to have pencils, you have to have papers to go to school, and they cannot afford that. Like we said, it is a day-to-day survival in there in the community.
Somebody has to support you. Somebody has to give for you to be able to do that, because they have absolutely nothing. I mean nothing. And the biggest job of the day for them when they get up is to get water, and it could be out of one of these water wells that we're talking about, or it could be out of a cow track out here where there's somebody brings a group of goats or a group of cattle or something other to drink out of. That's what they got. So we don't realize by any means how much that we're blessed. But it's just almost, it just breaks my heart to see that. But that is a truth. That's the way they are. And believe it or not, they are a happy people. They are a happy people. They are happier than we are, and they have nothing, because they don't know any different. They don't know any different. And that was kind of the deal with Innocent coming and staying with me for 2 weeks. He has been to the United States before, and so I told him I want him to understand. He'd never been in the country before. He'd never seen the tractors and the things that we have there on the farm. And believe it or not, it was cold the whole time he was here, and his teeth was chattering. He wore double and triple sweatshirts, and I couldn't keep him outside with me at all. He was just froze to death because they don't know that. And he just couldn't understand why when he comes in a house he's not to take his shoes off like they do over there. And I said, man, you got to, if you do that with mud, we're farm people. We don't pay attention to that. So, and when I go over there, I have to take my shoes off every time I go into a building. But anyway, the video, I hope it showed, I hope you kind of got a gist of what is there. Like I say, there's probably more agra there than anything. The one fella holding the chicken there, believe it or not, that was a gift from our really good friend Badru, and Badru's wife Harriet makes me a shirt every time I go over there. So that's what my shirt is. Harriet fixed me this shirt, and I've got about 5 or 6 of them in my closet. But anyway, guess what that chicken was that night? It was supper. so he gave us the gift of the chicken, and so we had supper with the chicken that night.
Battery was actually a Nubian Muslim.
Right.
And now he is being trained as a pastor to lead his own church. He's also, the last time that we went, we met 2 long-term missionaries, one Jordan.
Kariki.
Yeah, who is actually translating the Nubian language for the first time ever for them in the Bible, translating the Bible into the Nubian language for the first time. And Badaru is actually helping him do that. And so it's pretty awesome the way God works, because we were actually the Unreached 4K. With any ministry, you run into technical difficulties. Sometimes you have to look at the business side of ministry. And so we were having some difficulties in the Uganda with that. And so lo and behold, here comes Innocent, the orphanage. We never met him before. And God placed him in our lives, and he helped us become an NGO organization in the Uganda area that were our ministry. For nothing, he did it out of his goodness of his heart. He did it what would take over a year, probably in the States or in that area. He did it within a week. That's how good God is. And he has just become a huge resource to us. And so that's how God interconnects the community church. We are the church. And so that's how he connects us together to build his kingdom, to put forth his kingdom. And so it's just been awesome. And Badaru, and there's another lady, her name is Shannon. She is actually, I think she's like 21, 22 years old. She's young. She's a lot younger than we are. She did not know. She lives with Jordan, the Bible translator. But she did not know Jordan. And his family. He has a wife and 2 children that are living there. And but she left South Carolina, so everything that she had, met Jordan and him on Facebook somehow, moved to Uganda by herself, and now she is ministering to the youth in the community, and also prostitution, women of prostitution. And so she's doing a lot of good. And so she connected, God connected us all together. Shannon was a huge help because she's also EMT trained. She was huge help in the medical clinics with us. And she's just been a great resource, as well as Jordan in the community. But anyway, go ahead, Gabe, Eddie.
I lost my train of thought.
Well, I don't know what you were thinking.
Yes. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm going to get to that. Yeah, that was the next thing on my agenda. All right. Now, we've talked to you about Unreached 4K, which are the things that we do as our 4-person group, and in the area we are in Bombo. Now, the orphanage is about an hour to hour and a half drive away, and it is Save the Street Children Uganda is what it is, and it is they call it SASCU, and it is its own entity. It is not, there's no government help any way, shape, or form about anything over there. The government doesn't help any of those people do anything, which is kind of pitiful when you look at what our government does for all of us, and we fuss about it constantly, don't we? But over there, they have nothing through the government. But anyway, Innocent ended up, he was a street child himself. He, at 5 years old, his parents died. His aunt kicked him out and took him to Kampala, and there he was. He was on the street. And that happens thousands and thousands of times daily or weekly that those things happen. And those children are just out there with nobody to take care of them, nobody to do anything with them. And so anyway, the mission people came. He told his story. The mission people came, and he went to the mission thing, and he sat down, and he said they had juice and donuts. Well, guess what they came for? Juice and donuts, because they had nothing else. And he said he sat down, and he began to listen to all of what the man had to say. And the guy was telling him, he was witnessing to him about Jesus and what Jesus can do for you in your life. And so anyway, the juice and donuts kind of caught it, even though it wasn't what we think, but it was the Holy Spirit that was working through the juice and the donuts. Because now, this fella right here, as soon as he got old enough to do it, he ended up, he got himself straightened up. He got with the church. He got into it. He learned what he could. He didn't do any education as far as college or any of those kind of things. But anyway, he started his own orphanage. And he got children, took those children in, and he started with them. And now it has begun to blossom and to grow and to bloom. And just like I say, the farm has 80 acres on it. It was all a gift back in 2009 of some, and I can't find out who it is, but somebody gave them that land, which is really good land. Really good land. Most of it's flat area. There's not a lot of flat land over there. But anyway, they got the orphanage. They started in Kampala originally, and they have now finally moved all the orphanage out to the farm, which is 2.5 or 3 hour drive away. And they've got 80 acres. They are up to 86 children now. Could you imagine trying to feed 86 children every day beans and rice and milk? That's all they got. They don't got nothing else.
So the last time that we went to, and Eddie went to the orphanage, of course, Eddie was over to the orphanage being treated like a king. While we were eating beans and rice, they were making him French fries, but we'll talk about that later. But we got a call from Eddie and said, Innocent wants to baptize some of the children there. And so that just sort of excited us. So we all traveled to the orphanage. And so Eddie told us this story, and I'm probably telling his story, and he can probably tell it way better than I can. But he said the night before, they told him that, what was it, 25 girls and 20 boys?
26. We had 26 children give their life to Jesus, but they'd never been baptized. Mm-hmm. And so Innocent hit me up, and he said, Papa all the time, he said, Papa, will you teach me how to baptize? And I said, well, sure, I'll teach you how to baptize, because there's no telling how many. We go into the prisons over there, we baptize 180-some guys in one afternoon. Yeah. But anyway, and I said, yeah, I'll teach you how. Now go.
So anyway, Eddie actually gave a class, a baptismal class the night before. And he tells them, just wear a T-shirt, you're going to get in the water. Because over there, they are very fearful of water, very fearful of water. And so he tells them, just get a T-shirt, shorts, you're going to go in the water, you're going to be submerged underwater, just briefly. It sort of goes through what baptism means and so forth. And so the next day when we arrive at the orphanage to assist with this, these girls, they were out there. They were primping their hair. They had ribbons in their hair. They had the most beautiful dresses on. What they had, they put on their best for Jesus. They had their little patent leather shoes. I mean, they looked so beautiful. And they just wanted to put their best before Jesus. And so I just thought that was just so awesome. And so the first couple of times, we went to, they had like a little swimming pool in the town there. And so we all traveled there, and Eddie and Innocence got out there in the pool, and they were sort of timid going into the water, and they would get submerged, and they would slowly walk back out. But after everybody was baptized, it was on. These kids were jumping off the side of the pool doing cannonballs. I mean, it was just awesome to see these kids so enjoying, because these kids have nothing. They have no moms, dads. They have no family other than the people at the orphanage. And just to be a part of, just providing just a little bit of joy, it's just so awesome to be a witness of. When we go, Satan works on our minds. I say, I got to be away from it. We're going to be gone for 2.5 weeks. That plane ride is like a 2-day plane ride. It's a horrible plane ride. I keep thinking different things. Satan puts it in your heads and stuff. But when we go, we are so overwhelmingly blessed. It is just, it's hard to actually put into words. It's like trying to explain who God is, and you really, truly can't form the words to truly say how glorious He is. And so that blessing is just so huge to us, and that is one of the reasons that we forgo. We don't, that plane ride is not an easy thing, and just being away from our families. But what sustains us while we're there is the prayers of the church. We feel those over there, and we can't do that without Jesus and without your prayers. The other, at the Bimby Church, we ended up baptizing 30-some?
18.
18?
Yeah,
okay.
we baptized 18 at the Bimby Church before we went over.
They didn't actually have a place to baptize, so they made up this makeshift baptismal with boards and
we
a
took
tarp.
we took some old sawmill stuff that they had there, and we made a cage. And I took a great big 10 by 12, the heaviest tarp that Tractor Supply has. I took that with me, and we put that down in there and zip tied it in. We baptized 18 in that, and they were absolutely, they were absolutely tickled to death to do that. And I want to tell you something. I want to add in. Now, when she talks about a swimming pool, and you all saw that, I want you to know that this is the middle of nowhere. Lawero City has evidently some rich people or some rich something or other, because the only other place for us to baptize was in a mud hole. And I went to Innocent and I said, Innocent, if we baptize all these children in this mud hole out here, they'll all be sick. They'll die on us. And he said, don't worry, Papa. He said, I got it all covered. And I don't know what he did or how he did, but we piled them all up in the car and took the whole bunch of them up the road, back up to the city up through there. And by the way, the roads are absolutely the most horrible road. Any country road you've ever been on in the United States is better than any road over there, because they are absolutely horrible. But we loaded up all those children, and when we got up there, there was this big, beautiful swimming pool that was clean. I mean, you don't see any clean water over there. But anyway, we got all those children baptized. And that morning, whenever we took them out, they all came out. And, of course, they were all singing, and I was crying. It just tore me all to pieces. And I told them, I said, now, you all put on some shorts and an old shirt. And I wasn't thinking about it. They wanted to do the best they could for Jesus. And they only have, if you look into their little rooms, they all have bunk beds inside their little dormitories in there. On a little coat hanger, or maybe hanging up on the corner of it, they have one little nice dress and a little pair of shoes or a little pair of breeches and a light shirt. But other than that, they don't got nothing else. That's all they got. There's no cabinets, there's no anything, no nothing to put your clothes in, because they don't got no clothes. That's all they got. They got one Sunday best and maybe a pair of shorts, and most of them don't have full shoes. They have one pair of nice shoes, but they wear flip-flops or no shoes is what they wear over there. Now, we're over on our time here. But anyway, I'm going back. Jennifer is not going to be able to go with me, so I'm going and Grant is going. Grant is going to take a team, and he's going to go back to over where the churches are at. This time I'm going to go by myself. I'll be at the orphanage the whole time, or most of the whole time. We've decided to make just a little bit, we're going to do a little bit of sightseeing, but not what you would think is sightseeing, because it's still all spiritual minded, it's Christ minded. And we're going to travel all the way over to the Congo. It's going to take us about 2 days to travel over there. We are going to possibly see the gorillas over there, and we are also going to be in the vicinity or around where we're going to witness to Christ and do home visits, the pygmies. Y'all have all your life heard about pygmies, haven't you? The little people that are over there. So we're going there. That'll be where the grass huts are at. Over in where we're at right now, there's no grass huts because the termites eat all of that up. So everything has to be made out of bricks that's over there. What? Oh, yes, volunteers.
So far, I'm the only woman on this team. I just want to put that out. So go ahead, Eddie.
If you so mind, I need somebody to go with me. I need a team to go with me. I would absolutely love to have a couple of nice ladies that would come. Those kids get tired of looking at us old men that come in over there. And we need a couple of nice ladies who could relate to those children and get in there and sing with them. We're going to do a Bible school while we're there. We're going to do some home visits to the surrounding village around where the orphanage is while we're there. We're going to go into 3 prisons that are right there really close. Then we're going to take the trip. So anyway, we're going to be busy as we can be. But if the Lord touches your heart, you pray on it. I would love to have a couple of people or 3 people come and go with me. You stay right at the orphanage, and it will be a luxury compared to other places that you might stay there, because we actually have running water and a flushing toilet.
And they have a shower.
And
they do have a shower.
And most of the time we have electricity, so we have warm water to take a shower in. And one night while I was there, they even found out I like French fries, and they have a refrigerator there, which is very unusual because there's electric there. And so they cooked me French fries one night. Other than that, we eat beans and rice. So anyway, but I challenge you. I challenge you. It will. I promise you, it will change your life beyond all. You'll never come. You'll never be the same if you go. Now, besides what they do as far as saving the street children, they also do a deal with the. Get those out there and unroll all that, please. Put that apron on. You look nice in that apron. But anyway, they also do a deal there, and that's all over the country now, as far as the sex traffic is really big over there. And we have those problems here, but not like what they would have there, because they take those children that are out there running around and they snatch them off the streets, and they sell those children out to other countries and other places, or even in their own area there. They sell those little girls and those young women, they sell them as sex objects, is what they do with them. And so if Innocent and the group there with SASCU, if they can get a hold of those kids, they bring them off the street. They get them out of the self, they rescue them. That's the word you use. They rescue those little young girls from that. And that is a wonderful, wonderful project. And what they do is when they rescue them in, they have to teach them something. They don't know how to do anything. They're children who are on the streets, who have no job, who have no trade, who had no parents. They don't know anything. And all they've ever done is been abused by somebody in some type of a sexual manner. So they bring them in, and so what they've been doing is they've been working with them on sewing. And so they made a lot of, you didn't put that apron on, but they put that apron on. I think that thing is beautiful. Isn't that something? Isn't that beautiful? But those were all made by those little young girls that were saved. You're a dandy. You look good. But all these things were made by those little young girls who were rescued from that. It tears me up. I'll cry. I don't want to get into it much. But anyway, y'all put those in your kitchen. Put those. I know everybody has a kitchen. Now, to wrap up with, I thank you so much. When Randy called me back before I left, and he says, I have a gift for you. And he didn't know it. I was on the other end of the phone just about ready to cry, did you? You didn't have a clue, did you, what I was doing? But he told me, he said, I've got a gift for you to take. Folks, you don't realize how much that gift meant to us. For it helped to finish up building the Bimby Church. It helped to put in a water well. It helped with all the projects that were going on there. And just like Jennifer said, we pay everything ourselves. We pay our own plane ticket. We pay for all of our food. We pay for all of our own housing, whatever it is. We do it ourselves. So all of that money that was given Randy and all the church, it all went right to those people. Whatever the need was, that's where it goes to. And it does always. So thank you so much for the wonderful gift that you've given to us. Thank you. Now, we still need support. There are 86 children over there, and that's just one kind of the entity of Unreached 4K. And we need your support, not only from financial end of it, and you can see what it is daily on what those folks have to do, because they don't got anything. Those children are coming in there. There are 3 on staff that cook for all those kids. Did y'all see me washing dishes up there? I was washing dishes up there. We had entertained, we had a group come in for 3 days. These were all of the neighborhood, and they found out we were going to furnish them lunch. And so there was over 100 people that came in. They were, believe it or not now, and you ladies know all this, and men, you can close your ears up, but they were making ministerial pads is what they were doing. They were learning how to do that because they have no money to buy any of those things with. And so anyway, they taught them, they gave them material. They had a doctor and a nurse out there who taught them all the sanitary things. They sewed all those up for 3 days, and then after I left, they taught them how to make soap to be able to wash them and sterilize them and take care of those things. So those are some good things that not only that they do, And that's what we're going to try to bring in all of the outside people from around to be able to come back and to do those things and to teach them those kind of good things.
So
But we,
sorry.
Go.
So Eddie, like Eddie said, he's going back in July. I'm not able to go because of work, but Eddie's going to the orphanage by himself, and I would really like for someone to go with him. And he's going to have people in country, but I really challenge you. You know, when I first started doing missions, I was new to all this. I was a new believer, and I had someone ask me, hey, you want to go to Tanzania? And I've been always sort of one of those persons that jump head first and then learn my lesson later. But I was like, yeah, I'll go. But it is just it is absolutely a blessing to go. I'm telling you, you will receive, Jesus tells us you'll receive 100 times over the reward. And he absolutely is literally meaning that. We've seen it in our own lives, but like he's going in July. But if July, I know July's sort of coming up pretty quickly, but we will also be going back in January, and so I'll be going at that time too. But we'll be taking another team. So pray about it, pray so heartily on it.
We try to go twice a year. We go in January and we go in July. Those are the dry seasons. Because it rains 3 months and it's dry 3 months. It rains 3 months and it's dry 3 months. And when it rains, I mean it rains. It rains for days at a time. And that's why the roads and the mud splashes up on the brick huts that tall. That's why they got all of that. But let's see, to wrap up, we need to wrap up. But anyway, we need financial support. We need help. You all see what the need is there for the children, and it is always an ongoing when you have 86 children. But as much as we need that, we need your prayers. We need your prayers. You do not realize, you have no clue what God can do whenever you get down on your knees by your bed at night and you say, Lord, we need this, we need that. And it's not something that is necessarily a need, but it is a gift that has to be done to provide and take care of, just like for all of those children that have nothing compared to what we have. I'm done. Thank you all so very much for allowing us to come today. We appreciate it so much.
As we wrap up here in a few minutes, we're going to have a hymn of invitation in just a moment. But I want to share something with you because Eddie said something to me. We was in his living room the other day watching this here video, and he's just sharing that with me. And then he said this about his church, and he said at the back of their church they put over the door, and I haven't been able to stop thinking about this since. At the back of their church they put over the door, "You are now entering the mission field." And man, I've thought about that so much, because isn't that true? And 2 weeks ago, every once in a while I'm a little slow, and something I've always knew, I thought I knew, but then all of a sudden I figured out I didn't know it. You know what I'm talking about? I didn't have a good handle on that. And the passage of Scripture that she was telling us about a while ago when Jesus said, all authority on heaven and earth has been given to me, therefore go. And most people are always hung up on that because they say, well, he said go, but I don't know where to go. I don't know what the Lord wants me to do. I don't know if he wants me to go next door or down the road. I don't know if he wants me to go to Africa or Virginia. I don't know where he wants me to go. But the best interpretation of that scripture, and I was reading a commentary on this the other day, and it was like God smacked me in the back of the head. And so I went and I looked up the Greek term, and actually this guy was totally right. I went and looked it up in the Greek. I have forgot the word in the Greek right now, but it means as you go. While you're going, make disciples of all nations. In other words, God is not waiting on us to go to some special place in which he's going to designate. But as you go where I send you, and it may be to Africa, and if the Lord laid it on your heart, then I pray that you're obedient to that. But you're going to go out that door. You're going to the mission field somewhere. I mean, everybody's saying, man, I wish you'd hurry up. We got to get to the chicken house. But as you're at the chicken house, love like Jesus, right? when you're at the supermarket, and tomorrow when you go to work, and wherever in the world you're going, if you're at the stockyard or the hay field or you're in the dollar store or wherever in the world you're at, understand what it's all about. Because I want to tell you something, what breaks my heart, and I'm going to do a message on this out in the near future. I've been seeing these signs in people's yards that say, pray for Israel, right? And we need to be praying for Israel. We need to be praying for everybody. What in the world are we praying for them about? Because it's all about Jesus. That's what the hope of Israel is. That's what the hope of America is. That's what the hope of Africa is Jesus. It's all about Jesus. And if the Lord's laid it on your heart to do something for these little kids at this orphanage, Eddie's going to be back in the back. He's going to be standing back there. If you got questions you want to talk to him, he'll answer them, or he'll give you the best shot he can. If you want to make a check, he'll tell you how to make it. It's them initials, and I wrote it down and done forgot it. But he'll tell you. And but what I want to do, this is what I feel led to do. Anybody got anybody? We got a minute here. Anybody got anybody on their heart? Don't say their name out loud in your life that you feel is completely lost, and they're just like really heavy on your heart. Because right now I got somebody really heavy on my heart that I would just about give my right arm. I believe I would if they could get it right. Now we're going to have a hymn of invitation. When you get to that place that you can cry for them, you're at that place you can reach them. You know what I mean? So we're going to have a hymn of invitation. If you don't know who Christ as Lord is, then I pray right now you'll take this opportunity to say, man, I need this. But if there's somebody in your life that's lost, if you don't know anybody, if there's nobody on your mind, you pray for the lost around the world. You pray for the people in Uganda. 2.5% of the population is Christian. Put the mathematics to it. That means 97.5% is lost. You know what I mean? Pray for them, but pray for the person that's on your heart. We're going to have a hymn of invitation. As you come in, you can come to this altar and do whatever you want to do. But I challenge you today. Ministry starts when you step outside that door. If there's somebody in your life that's lost, ask God to give you an opportunity to show Christ to them. Because we're playing this one for keeps, folks. It ain't like playing baseball in a backyard when you're a kid. You can't holler do-over when it goes in the neighbor's yard. We're playing this one for keeps. We've got one shot. If you know somebody that's lost, pray for them now. If you're lost, by all means, won't you come as we sing our invitation hymn.